Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to, I suppose in a way, the first real developer blog for the early access of Dice with Death, which is the game I've been working on. In case you're new here, well, if you've been around for a while, hello, welcome back, surprise. But if you are new here, or perhaps you're coming in from the Steam page, my name's Connor, or Merchant. I'm the creator and the lead designer and kind of like the studio owner for Dice with Death. And yeah, I wanted to do these throughout our early access, which is launching on Wednesday, May the 7th, if you're watching this in the future. But that is very exciting. It's a little bit daunting and terrifying, as it should be. But I'm very much so looking forward to it because just having people playing the game is so fantastic for working on it, as we found during NextFest. Originally, we didn't even really plan to do early access, but just with how good having people playing the game, giving that feedback, you know, seeing what they enjoyed, what they got hung up on, we realized that, like, to make the game as good as we know it can be, it was like such a crucial thing, because really we do have, of course, other people who work on the game, you know, on art assets, like freelance and stuff like that, but really at our core, at the moment, we're kind of like a two-man team. So yeah, you know, we're not like a big, you know, millions of dollars AAA studio, but we are like very, very dedicated. So having the community there and having people giving feedback and letting us know what they enjoyed was just absolutely vital. Before I get into introducing early access and what I want to talk about in this sort of first vlog, sorry if I'm a little rambly. I'm a bit out of practice doing this. I used to do this a lot, would you believe? But yeah, a little bit out of practice. But before we get into anything, I just want to say, if you haven't already, you know what it's going to be. Just go look at the game on Steam. You can search it if you want, Dice for Death, or you can click the link down below. I've pinned it as a comment. It's in the description as well. And press the follow in the wish list. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't spam you. All you'll get to do is just like see, you know, your Steam will tell you when the game releases on Wednesday. And also there'll be a launch discount, so you'll get that. Yeah, just be upfront about that stuff, because I've had a lot of questions about this, and I was like, oh yeah, of course we didn't actually say, at least I don't believe we did, in the sort of preview videos for NextFest. The game is planned to be $13.99 US. I wanted to keep it accessible. I didn't want it to go, you know, I had some conversations with publishers early on where they wanted it to be like 20, 25, and I wanted to say, you know, I'd rather sell more copies at a lower price and have it more accessible, especially when we're doing something like early access and, you know, really you're helping the development of the game as well. Obviously, you know, we wouldn't put anything out there that we didn't think was already a fun game to play and that you're going to get your value from. But the fact that, you know, it's so helpful, yeah, we wanted to keep the price as low as we could. So $13.99, it'll have, like, you know, if you're not in America, I'm not, obviously I live in Canada. If you're in other countries, it will have appropriate pricing based on your country. So don't worry about, like, exchange rates and stuff. Sorry, cheeky little mic mute there for a cough. But yeah, that's the basis of the game. If you haven't already, please do, like I say, go look at it on Steam. Hit the follow, hit the wish list. It like Steam, just like YouTube, has a whole algorithm and everything like that. So you help more than you can imagine. Even if you don't intend to get it right now, it's a way of helping out for free. So I really appreciate anyone who does that. Anyway, let's talk about the actual game and early access and what it means, because I'm going to use these videos. I want to do these fairly frequently, hopefully every month. I'm really going to aim for every month is the plan. So I want to communicate just with people who might be buying the game or looking at it, what early access means to us. Because I think it's a very important thing, and I myself have reservations about early access games very often. But I also think it can be a wonderfully positive tool, and I think there's examples out there that have really, really used it to their benefit. So I just want to address that stuff head on. We're not going to be, you know, the type of game that you go on and you see that we haven't updated for 5 months, and our discussion page is full of, will the developers ever update the game again? It's not that kind of early access. This isn't like we want to sell the game while having the caveat of like, oh, well, it's early access. Sorry if it doesn't work. No, this is like active early access. We intend to be updating the game. Honestly, in the early stages, most likely multiple times a week as we fix all the bugs that you guys find. That will definitely be the first focus of the first week or so. And I would expect near daily fixes in that time period. But the plan is to, you know, once that's a little more stable, more out the way, because you guys will find bugs that we can't find ourselves, despite how much we test things. just because of mass data. So just to set expectations there, I'm not saying the game's bug-free, it definitely won't be. But we'll work as hard as we can to get it as bug-free as we can, as soon as we can. After that, we do intend to update the game hopefully every week, at least every couple of weeks. It will be every week, most likely, for a very long time. As for new content, because of course, a lot of the fixes we do will be like performance updates or bug fixes or stability stuff. And realistically, content, like new relics, new characters, new dice. We want to put in, Joel and I spoke about this, Joel's my co-developer, Runaway Robot on YouTube, you should go watch us play D&D. But we spoke about this, and realistically, we want to add at least a couple of new relics every couple of weeks. Like, that's the baseline. Like, if we do less than that, we're going to be annoyed at ourselves. But like I say, there will be periods where it will be much more, and there'll be periods where it rescinds to that baseline, just as we, work on something else. Like, if we're working on a new feature, a new game mode, which is something we've spoken about, or a new character, as we have the Witch, who we plan, again, plans will change, but at the moment, we have the Witch, who we plan to hopefully get in the game, maybe like mid-late June, sometime around there for our third playable character. So just to set expectations, I really think, like, if you guys are giving me, not only your money from buying the game, let's not pretend that that's not a thing, but your time and your, like, patience with it being early access and your, like, faith in, joining the game early while we're still developing it. Hopefully we develop it beyond early access as well, given some level of success. And I think if you're giving us that, then the least we can do is give you guys, like, honest communication and feedback and expectations as much as we can. Like, I want to caveat everything with, like, hey, if we put something in the game and it breaks everything, and, it takes you guys to find that because we couldn't find it as, like, our smaller team, maybe things get a couple days delayed as we, don't sleep and fix all of that stuff. That might happen. We're a small indie team. I just want to be open and honest about that stuff and set expectations as best as I can, so that you guys, if you do choose to support us in the development process, which is unbelievably helpful and has my immense gratitude. I couldn't even believe people playing the demo for free during NextFest. I was like, just sat there watching people play, like, I was like lurking on Twitch and like YouTube and stuff, and I was just like, it's so crazy seeing people. I've worked on games. I've worked on RuneScape, stuff like that. I've published things before, but like seeing people play something that like we made from the ground up from like nothing is just like, whoa, So that gratitude really isn't lost, and I hope that I've expressed that in a way that you can at least believe it a little bit, because I do mean it. So yeah, I just want to be super open. Anyway, in that note, one of the things that I want to say, if you're watching this as somebody who's come into the beta, early access, sorry, I'm old. Early access wasn't a thing. Remember those good old days? But if you do join us in early access and you want to get in touch with the team, you will find an email listed. It is dicewithdeathsg@gmail.com. That's just our that's like our open contact email. You can send anything there, from suggestions, bug reports, anything like that. If you just want like the most open format to contact us privately, that's why that email account exists. I don't type it in like the comments or anything, just because bots pick it up and it gets bot spammed. It gets a lot of bot spam anyway, but dicewithdeathsg@gmail.com if you want to get in touch. Of course, we have social medias. You can search Seaglass Games, that's the studio name. You'll find them all linked on the Steam page. If you go look at the Steam page, you'll find them all on there. Also, I do read the Steam discussions every single day as well when the game's playable. So yeah, if you just want to like stay on Steam and you want to get in touch with us there, do that. We don't have a Discord at the moment. I find Discords for games, I'm a little bit on the fence about them. I tend to find that it can lead to, and I don't know, maybe people disagree with this. If a Discord is something that people really want, we'll make one. Of course we will. But like, from my personal experience in the industry and outside of it, I've found that Discords can lead to a very small minority of players like dominating the conversation because, you know, they're like the most active in there. And that's not something I'm really interested in. I want like, to me, it doesn't matter if you play the game for like 2 hours and you want to give me your feedback, or you play it for 200 and you want to give me your feedback. Like, obviously, you know, those two players are going to be coming at it from a very different lens, which is awesome because I want to see like the whole scope of opinions. But I find like on things like Discord, the guy who's playing 200 hours will get noticed, whereas the person who's playing like 2 hours probably won't. Or, you know, they might even get like, you know, kind of like mocked a little bit or something. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Discords. I've seen a lot of games developers, in my opinion, kind of steer their game down the wrong path sometimes by listening to like a small group of players, like way too much. Which sounds crazy. Like, of course, you know, you should listen to all of your players, but you shouldn't let a small minority dominate the course of the game. You know, I want to make the game that everybody enjoys, or as many people as possible enjoy, not like an elitist hardcore game, or like, you know, a very, very focused in by a niche group. Whatever, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, if people really want a Discord, we will make one, but I want people to feel like they can give feedback without peer pressure being involved. So that's why, honestly, my favorite feedback, and maybe this is just because I'm a weirdo, but like, my favorite feedback is like the long, rambly emails people send me. I think they're great because like that like stream of consciousness, private contact stuff where people really just say what they think. I think it's really cool, and I've actually seen some really great bits of feedback that led to like, you know, discussions between Joel and I. Like some of it even like directly led to like fixes or changes in the game. So yeah. Anyway, main point is feedback any way you want to. We're not that hard to get in touch with. Hey, you can even leave comments on this YouTube video. I read all my comments to this day, even though I haven't posted a video in years properly. But like, yeah, if you want to, just use my YouTube comments. That's also fine. I will see your feedback. We will discuss it. That much I promise you, because like I say, if you're helping us out in early access, I don't want to be blunt, take the piss with that. So anyway, that's it for the early access spiel. Like I say, just want to set expectations. I want to be honest, communicative with you guys, because I think it's so important, and I think that's something that I want to be in the category of developers who, after early access, people go, oh, it's amazing how much it improved during early access, and, you know, you can talk with them and blah, blah, blah. Not the category where it's like, well, this game would have been good if the developers had listened to anyone and updated it, you know? So, let's talk about the actual game. Now, if you played during NextFest, welcome back. Thank you. That's amazing. NextFest was a monumental success for us. We expected... So we used NextFest, because we've been developing this in like a fairly short time frame. We use NextFest not so much as a marketing event, although of course it was very important for that, but we used NextFest as a means of people playing the game. Like I say, it's what actually led to the decision to do early access at all, because we really did think, like, you know, one thing that we could really do with having back is people playing the game. This is a very designy game. You know, there's lots of relics, lots of dice, lots of numbers, lots of chances, lots of challenge, and having that player feedback, watching your guys, how you know, your stats, like how you progress through the game, is so important in designing something like this. And yeah, there will be a lot of balancing changes when, you know, in the first, knowing me, probably in the first 48 hours, I'll give things a couple days to settle, but then there will be balancing changes, like in the first week or so. I'm going to avoid nerfing anything I can. I tend to prefer making things stronger rather than tearing things down. But yeah, there will be balancing changes, because having people play the game is so important. So in that sense, NextFest was a monumental success for us. We expected... I think we went into it, being honest, we went into it hoping that maybe we'd get like 500 people play the demo. The demo was just rounds 1 and 2 with a lot less stuff than you're going to see. I am going to play the game in a... Sorry, you can skip forward if you want. I am going to play the game in a bit. But we expected... We were hoping for like maybe, you know, 500-600 people to play the demo, get all their data, get all their feedback, and use that to move forward in the development. And it like blew our expectations out of the water. We had about 3,500 people play the demo by the time it was taken down. And... yeah, that was a lot of people playing the demo, which was scary, but cool and awesome. And the scariest thing of all was the fact that, aside all the useful feedback and all of the incredibly crucial bug reports that we got. Like, if you took your time to find any bugs and like mention them to us during that demo, I just want to extend like a special thank you to you, because it was beyond helpful. We spent a long time fixing all that stuff, and we could not have done that without everyone who reported the bugs help. So thank you so much. But yeah, we got about 3,500 people play the demo. It was a lot. It was cool. We got some fantastic feedback. We got some not fantastic feedback. Mostly just nah. Like NextFest, people play a lot of demos, and people like giving feedback. That's our human condition, right? We bloody love a moan about stuff. So, you know, there were some people who wrote me an essay, and then I looked at their playtime, and they'd played for 7 minutes, and I was like, I think you might have misunderstood a few things here, but that's okay. But even those people, thank you so much. I do appreciate you taking the time, even if some of the emails gave me a bit of a chuckle. But yeah, it blew our expectations out the water. We got thousands of wish lists during it, which was fantastic. We're actually, at the moment, you can see us on the popular upcoming games for Steam. Like, if you're watching this right now, go to Steam, go to popular upcoming, and because it's like a few days out, it tends to only show the next day or two. Go to like page 2 or whatever, and go to May the 7th, basically. And we're on there, which is... That is like the litmus test for like, okay, we're doing something right. In my mind, at least. Like, people like the look of the game, and just seeing, you know, like, again, like the thing we built from nothing, in that, like, hey, popular upcoming games is crazy. It's very, very cool. So thank you to everybody who played in NextFest. And then we moved into a bit of a strange period, because we went from having everybody play the game and, you know, constantly getting feedback. We left the demo up way longer than we planned to, just because people were playing it. Even when I took it down, like, you know, a couple weeks ago, really, like a few weeks ago, there was still like 80 people playing the demo a day, which is... That demo was intended to have like 25, 30 minutes of content, maybe. The average player played it for 22 minutes, which is amazing. Like, that's in that range of like expected playtime for somebody who plays the full thing. So that was awesome. We had over 100 people. I want to know, if you're one of these people, please get in touch with me, because I don't understand what happened. But we had over 100 people play the demo for 4 hours, which is... Are you okay? That's my only concern there. But it was a huge vote of confidence, and yeah, just again, thank you to all those people. But the period afterward was strange, because we went from having all these people playing the demo to very, you know, a very like hardcore little group playing it, and it was unusual, because all of a sudden, you know, I didn't have those new player impressions. Like, anybody playing the demo for the most part was like just replaying it because they liked it and they were good at the game. They knew how broken Glimmel Ring was. They knew how strong Heartlock it was and stuff like that. So we went from all of the new impressions in the world to very few of them. So, you know, that's when we really moved into iterating on the feedback that we got. And that's what I want to show some of today. So anyway, disclaimer. I should have said this at the start. That big grey button, that's a placeholder. I hope that that was obvious. But this is my dev build. This is my dev branch. So it doesn't have some of the fixes from latest in. So you will see some broken things. I mostly work on systems stuff. So I've been working on like the dialogue system, because you do talk to death now, by the way. And I've been working on like the relics collection and stuff like that. So it doesn't have some like the bug fixes in from latest from like Joel's build. So basically, let's talk about what's changed. So, one of the key bits of feedback that we got, which 100% made sense, we planned to do from the beginning, but it just wasn't in the demo, is people wanting a collection page. Now, we are working on a fancy decorated one. This is just the version 1, but you have that in the game now. So, there is a collections page. You can see your relics that you have and you haven't got in this build so far. So, you know, you said I've been playing a bit, I've unlocked some relics and click around them. They've got lore text and stuff like that. And yeah, so obviously like the font size here, this will be larger. I just haven't upped it in my build yet. But yeah, you can click around, you know, like you can see the relics you've got, the relics you don't have. We also split it out. So one of the big things that we did after the demo, if you were a demo player, is we realized that I would say probably number one of the things that confused people was the fact that relics came with a dice. Now, this made sense if you played the game and you just like learned it, but ultimately that's not something that we should rely on. The game should be like approachable for people. It should be intuitive is the word to use. You should understand what's going on even if you aren't an expert player, right? So, by the way, sorry for the resolution. I'm running this in 1440p, but I'm on a 4K screen, so that's why it's a window. But we split them out, basically. We split relics and dice. So now relics are their own thing, and dice are their own thing as well. So it's pretty cool. I think it works a lot more intuitively. So these are just the dice in my build. That scroll bar needs to be a little bit smaller, as you can tell. But these are the dice in the current build. You can see that we've got a good number of them. These are just the ones unlocked in my save at the moment that you can see. By the way, yeah, all of the blank spaces, those are dice that are in the game right now. Just this is my save data on my test file at the moment. And you can see that I've got some dice here. You can click around them, read their effects and stuff as well. Some of them are pretty cool. These aren't even the crazy ones. There are some ones in the game that do some pretty wild things. But yeah, there's two, I would say, sort of like fundamental mechanical changes to how you play the game. This is one of them. The decoupling of relics and dice. And I think this will just help people understand what they're getting a lot more, because previously it was like the relic would come with its own dice that would have custom faces on it. But this way, you get two different avenues of like collecting things that impact your gameplay, right? You have your relics, which are like your passive effects, and then you have your dice, which are like your things that are going to literally do things based on how it rolls. Some of them do things when they're banked, some of them do things when they're rolled, some of them do things when they match with other dice. Yeah, it gave us a whole new avenue that also is more intuitive to the player, because they understand, like, if I get this relic, that's going to sit there and do something in my relic tray. If I get this dice, I'm going to roll it and it's going to do something. Rather than trying to explain, like, hey, look, this relic comes with a dice that's paired with it. I think that this is just a lot more intuitive for players to initially understand the core concept of the game. Because that was I would say that was the most common bit of feedback, was like, I don't understand where this dice came from. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, as much as, that's one of the things that can be challenging when you're making something. You go blind, right, to things like that. Because my initial reaction, like my knee-jerk reaction, is being like, well, it's got dice faces shown on the relic. Like, it obviously comes from there. But, like, that's just because I've spent, I don't want to think about how many hours, thousands of hours working on the game. So that's, like, burnt into my brain, right? But you have to look at things from fresh eyes, and once we did that, we sat down, we thought about it, we were like, no, yeah, that's fair enough. Like, they've picked something that looks like a 2D image, and then all of a sudden one of their dice has changed. It's fair enough. It was good feedback, and we got it a lot, so yeah, we decoupled them. Anyway, that collection page will look a lot prettier in the future. That is V1, but there's like, you should see the one Carson's working on. Sorry, just to glaze Carson for a bit, because he does a lot of our pixel art. He's so talented, but absolutely, yeah. Carson drew it on Twitch. Go say hello to him. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever speak to, and I mean that sincerely. He's doing like an amazing decorated version that has like a statue of death around the side and like loads of embellishments and stuff. It's so good. I should have loaded it up and I would have shown you guys, but you'll have to wait to see it. But anyway, in the game, there is another big... So we have 2 playable classes right now. The Witch will be coming soon when we launch it, as I mentioned. And then we're working on 2 more as well, which are the... I'll tell you their names. They're the Maid and the Gambler, who are pretty cool. Anyway, let's play a game. So, you'll see some things that are different. You can also see my printout logs on the side. That's what all the teal text is. Now, I've done the tutorial, so in my test file, I'm just going to launch straight into a game. So we're going to pick a game. You'll see that the tooltip style has changed. They're actually readable now. Shocking, I know. Anybody who saw the end stage demo tooltips, because I'd stapled so many things onto them, in my opinion, they were a work of art. But a lot of people would disagree with that. But the tooltips are readable now. You'll see that they affect base health. That's what the red plus number is. And you get a choice of relic, as is traditional in a roguelike. We're not reinventing that particular wheel. We can pick one. So let's take Poultice. I like Poultice. Poultice is a good relic. All right, then you get to pick a dice. So you see that we've completely split it out. So now you can hover the dice just the same. And you can read what they do. And you can pick one. Bannerman's dice, by the way, I can guarantee you if one thing changes in the game, a lot of things will change, but if one thing changes in the game between the publishing of this video on Sunday and the game going live on Wednesday, this dice will be nerfed because it is ridiculous. It is so strong. Let's take it. You can see this will be the one historical preservation of how broken Bannerman's dice is, because it is a whole thing. Yeah, these are some trinkets, so you can actually use these and they will do different things. Healing flask. They will have tooltips, by the way. They're just turned off at the moment. Healing flask is just like an emergency healing potion. Basilisk statue is pretty cool. It actually like freezes a dice in place. It like turns the dice to stone, so you can guarantee that that number's in your next roll. And the lantern was in the demo, I believe. Yeah, it was in the demo. It just adds an extra dice into your roll, so it just spawns another dice. They do work. I'll show you them in a sec. So let's roll. Now, if you haven't seen the game before, it is it's based on an old medieval game called Farkle. I just realized I'm running this as a Unreal editor window, so it's going to be quite unoptimized. So if you see my camera lagging or anything, it's because I'm essentially rendering the game in real time in Unreal. And the game is not intense to run at all, but to explain it in very simple terms, nothing is optimized because I'm like running it in a preview window in Unreal, essentially. I tell you what, let me flip my camera off. That'll probably make it a little bit smoother. But anyway, I say smoother. It'll just avoid, you know, my memory going, what's happening. But anyway, yeah. So this is the big change, right? So if you played the demo, how it worked was you would roll, and then you would get all of your scoring hands printed out down the side, and you could scroll them. You could look at them. Apologies that the scroll bar wasn't obvious enough. That was a bit of feedback we got a lot as well, but you could scroll them, you know, so like, let's say we have a pair of sixes here, right? You would have like pair of sixes and the score, and you'd have a bank button, and then you'd have like pair of twos and the score, and then, you know, you'd have like 2 pair, 3 pair. We actually rolled a 3 pair, which is pretty sick, but then you'd have like 3 pair, and, you know, you could pick the hand to bank. We got a lot of feedback on that, and I think I agree with almost all of it. We got feedback ranging from, it's unintuitive because I didn't know that I could scroll my hands. That was our fault. We didn't make the scroll bar obvious enough. All the way to like, it feels too much like the game is playing itself for me. And that is the one that I looked at, and we got that from a few people, and I looked at it and I immediately thought, yes, you are right. We did it because of that, not realizing the consequences of it. You know how we live in an era when so many games are so keen to almost like optimize playing them to the point where it feels like a treadmill, or it's like, I don't want to use specific examples because I shouldn't really badmouth games, but let's say if anybody watching this is like a big fan of MMOs, right? I'm a huge MMO fan. I'm sure that we've all played an MMO that when it started out, it was really fun and challenging, and you didn't know how things worked, and everything was a bit janky, but it kind of has that, like, authentic feeling. And then, over time, they slowly add more and more things that optimize you playing it, to the point that it just becomes kind of like you're just going through the motions, and you're not really engaging with things anymore. I don't know, maybe that's too deep an analogy, but, like, anyway, we got feedback all the way from like it was unintuitive to it didn't feel right to use, and I agree 100%. So one of the core mechanical changes that we decided to make was in how you select your dice to bank. So Joel and I came up with a few different ideas, and this is the one that we landed on. We just thought, like, look, let's let the player select their dice, which I know, radical, right? But so now what you do is you can click dice, you can hover them so you can see, you know, the reason we show the tooltips is so you know exactly what you're banking, so you don't accidentally, you know, like if we didn't want to bank our Bannerman's dice, for instance, we wouldn't do it. And now you can click, and you will actually dynamically populate hands as you make hands. So you can see, I just deselect dice, that's an invalid hand, but then as soon as I take the 2 out, it goes back to being a 2 pair for me to bank. So we just thought that this felt a lot more engaging. We felt like it felt a lot more, like, you are actually in the driving seat, because otherwise if we just populate all the hands with you, it feels like a bad decision to not just click the most valuable hand, even though that often wasn't the case. Because I look at the actually, this is a great example. Look at the hand we rolled. I would argue, because we have Bannerman's dice here and it rolled a 1, This dice is so broken, by the way. It's so powerful. But, like, the best thing that we could do is probably just bank these 6s and roll again. And that's, like, more of a decision that I'm involved in making in this new system. So, yeah, that was pretty much what we decided on, I guess. Yeah. That was, like, the other fundamental core change. So, yeah, see, now Bannerman's rolled a 6, and you're about to witness, as a great group once said, the strength of street knowledge, because watch this. So this is a pair of 2s, right? A pair doubles the score. So 2 plus 2 is 4, doubled is 8. So this should be worth 8. Bannerman's dice is currently adding 6, so that each one of these dice is worth 8. And instead, if this is gonna be where I expose myself forever, and people are like, he didn't even know how his maths worked. This should be 32 when we click it instead of 8. Oh, look at that. Maths. But yeah, that's how broken Bannerman's dice is. So if you ever wonder why I said that I was going to nerf it before anyone ever played with it, that's why. This was now worth more than a pair of 6s. So, yeah, and also, oh yeah, look, we have animations and stuff looks cool, and when you pass, it actually, like, has a damage animation, and there's poison animations, and healing animations, and other animations, and it's cool, but, oh, Death, you gotta do that to me, alright. You don't have Bannerman's dice, though, so you really stand very little of a chance, my friend. Although, actually, in one of the... I won't spoil everything that he does, but in one of the later rounds now, Death actually steals one of your dice per turn. He has an item called Death's Void, where he borrows one of your dice per turn to roll. And some of the dice that he can take off you are pretty crazy, so you got to be careful with that. But, ooh, we actually rolled a really bad hand. Are we going to have to bank our Bannermans? Oh. Sorry, this dice is so silly. But, yeah, oops. Alright, well, let's risk it for the biscuit. Yeah, if you're a veteran of the channel, it's been a while since you heard that. How nice is the poultice animation, by the way? Eli, who is our VFX artist, they are wonderfully talented, and they've made a bunch of really cool animations for us, so the game feels a lot more alive as you play it. Should we cheat? Alright, let's cheat. Oh! You never saw that. That's not the developer UI. So, let's go to the next round. When you kill Death... Can't kill Death, he's already dead. But when you beat Death, you will go into a relic selection phase. However, if you don't have a lot of things unlocked, or you're not on a test build like me, quite often you will actually talk to Death, which is pretty cool. He will often tell you about... In fact, let's talk to Death. Alright, so I've just deleted my save. So now if I go back to the menu, you're seeing real... I told you guys... Oh yeah, sorry, we'll fix that. We'll fix that bug. You didn't see that. The window definitely did not change size when I went back to the main menu. No, that's a debug thing that I have in here. It means that if I make changes that break the game, it will revert back to a manageable size when I go back to the main menu. So apologies for that. You just saw some dev magic, but... and yeah, by the way, we do have... These will be expanded upon, but we do have some basic settings in here. If you want to do FPS, there'll be a VSync toggle as well on early access. VSync is just on at the moment because we don't have the kind of game where input delay can cause you any problems. But I'm still going to... You know, people have G-Sync and FreeSync, and I don't want to cause issues with that, so I'm still going to add a toggle for it. But... My goodness, sorry, this video is already like 33 minutes long. I'm so sorry, I just like rambling. But I like talking about the game I'm working on, which is probably a good sign. But, okay, let's talk to Death. So this is how he'll meet you in the game when you play for the first time. And this is one of the big changes from the demo. So you actually speak to him now. He does make noise when he talks. He's not like voiced or anything. We thought that was too much, but he will have like a speaking sound. But, yeah, you actually get to like pick responses to him. And this applies to when you are unlocking relics and stuff as well. So quite often he will tell you about who the person was who left that relic behind. Maybe there'll be some hints as to some future story stuff, even in the first version. Maybe there'll be some mystery hinted at. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's pretty cool. You can talk to him, and you'll get to like talk about some different topics with him over time. And in the future builds, just to be clear, this isn't in the first early access build, but one of the things that we have planned is there will be like dynamic questions as well. So if you know he asks you a question, the answer that you give may you know, reduce both of your health for the next round, or it might give you both an extra dice, or it might take a dice away from you and give it to Death if you insult him or something. So yeah, there will be like dynamic questions in the future too, but just to be clear, they're not in the first build of Early Access, they're still in the works. But yeah, you get to have a chat with him. Death actually talks now. Sorry, I realize that like I'm like, hey, look at this cool dialogue, and I'm literally just like firing up the tutorial implementation, but look, he even makes a little jokey joke here. See? People say the Grim Reaper doesn't have a sense of humor. Because that's one of the things that I really wanted to do. I wanted Death to not be a antagonist. He's very much so a... You know, he's not a human, so you can't really ascribe normal interactions to him, but he's definitely not your enemy. Like, he's... And who knows, maybe some of that mystery I mentioned might come into play here, but he's definitely not your enemy. This text box is bugged, I know, it's too close. That'll fix. But yeah, he just tells you he's gonna cheat, basically. But you're gonna cheat too, so it's found. It's fine. It's fine. Sorry, I can't even speak English anymore. I spent far too long in Unreal. Alright, so that's just how the game starts. Like, that's like the very basic introduction. If you're reading that, he just explains like the absolute basics of the game. Of course, there will be more explanations in time. But yeah, then you get to pick a little relic. I like Catalytic Vial because it looks like a chili pepper. Let's not take Bannerman's. You've seen Bannerman's enough. Fairweather Friend is pretty cool. Or we could just spam Poison. Let's just spam Poison. Take Viper's Kiss. So, we're going to cheat anyway, though, because I want to show you guys how the relic unlocks look. Oh, look, we triggered our Soldier's Insignia. Okay, so, let's cheat again. You guys didn't see that. Developers would never cheat at their own game. We play 100% legit all the time. Catalytic Vial gets a nice little drop of poison animation. And then we go up and look at Death. And he should, if the game behaves, there we go. So this is the first, you'll always unlock Glimmer Ring first, just to kind of like give you the background as to how you get your relics. And Death will often tell you about the people who've left them behind, and he'll tell you a little, you can ask him questions and you can, you'll learn a little bit about where each relic comes from, in addition to the lore text they have on the collection page. So you can see now we've unlocked Glimmer Ring. Anybody who plays the demo knows that Glimmer Ring is... and anybody who does play the early access, I'm not even going to guess, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to like Glimmer Ring. There's a reason I made it the first relic you unlock. It is now a rare, I'm sorry, it did get shifted to rare, but it is awesome. Glimmer Rings. Glimmer Ring is the good boy, believe me. There's a little tip for you. If you find the game too hard at any point, Glimmer Ring. So yeah, that's how the relic unlocks work. I wanted to keep them very natural, you know. I wanted to keep... One of the missions with the game, really, was that I wanted to keep as many things as possible. Like, I'd say like diegetic, which is a term that means like within the scene kind of thing. Like it sourced from the scene. So I didn't want, you know, like you to unlock a new relic and there to be like a big pop-up that says, congratulations, you've unlocked this. You'll see it in your future runs. Of course, we do want to give the player that information. You know, we want to show them what they're unlocking. But I wanted it to just come from talking to Death. Like, you talk to Death. He's like, hey, somebody left this behind. You can use it. And then you have it. Look, we have Glimmer Ring now. And that will happen when you unlock things. It will take place in replacement of, like, the normal selection phase. So sometimes he'll just say, like, hey, look, pick a relic. Like, here you go. And sometimes he will essentially say, you know, he'll tell you about something, you'll have that conversation, and then he'll unlock a new relic for you, or he'll unlock a new dice, or, you know, in soon, TM, future updates, there will be conversations in addition to relic unlocks that affect the course of the game. They might, you know, supercharge one of you, or like have some warping effect, some modifier, if you like, on your run. Yeah, and also, you know, maybe there's a bit of a mystery at play that might lead to things as well. But sorry, this video is long. If you've made it through this whole video, well done. Sorry for rambling for so long. I just wanted to do this, like, you know, kind of like monthly update. I'll probably do one at the end of May, just like about, you know, like, or maybe even, you know, in a couple of weeks, just about like early access's launch and like the feedback so far and the changes we're planning to make, because of course that's going to be a huge part of my focus throughout the month of May. But yeah, there it is. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you if you did make it this far, or even if you just clicked on this at all. Very much so. Thank you for that. And yeah, if you haven't already, like I say, go wishlist and follow the game on Steam. It does help out more than you can imagine, even if you don't plan to buy it right now, which is completely fine. Doing that is a wonderful way to support us regardless. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, whether you're playing or not. If you are playing, you get double appreciation points. Congratulations. They may be redeemable for prizes in the future, but thank you. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. And please, if you're playing, send me your feedback, and I'll speak to you a lot sooner. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.